Thank you, Ron. First, let me say I'm unaccustomed to sitting down, so it's going to take me a little while before I can adjust to this. It's typically when I work on the walk. My name is Gary Highsmith. I'm currently the chairperson of the Education Committee of Greater New Haven and NAACP. I've done a lot of things in education. I'll just briefly tell you. First, I served as a middle school teacher for some years, and as an assistant principal in the middle school side of a K-8 school, then as principal of an elementary school. I'm currently principal of Hampton High School, fourth largest school in the state, first African American to hold that position. I want to be applauded for that. I asked why it took so long for an African American to hold that position. And I'll just very quickly tell you a few things about what I believe are some of the most pressing issues we're facing, because I do believe that the condition of education for black students in this state and in the country really represents a crisis that is even greater than the economic crisis that we're facing at the present time. So I want to keep my comments down, keep the grass down where the goats can get it, and have a fundamental conversation, a simple conversation about what we need to do. The racial achievement gap is actually wider at the high school right now, at the high school level, than it was in the 80s and 90s. And one interesting thing for you to know is that Black and Latino 17-year-olds read and do math at the same level as white 13-year-olds. At the same level as white 13-year-olds. And high school graduation rates are also a very telling statistical point of view. 94% of Asian Americans graduate in time. 75% of white students graduate in 4 years. 63% of Latinos, but only 61% of black students graduate high school in 4 years. Overall, we've got a graduation rate of about 70% for all students from high school. So 4 million freshmen entered high school in 2002. So by 2006, 1 million of those students had not graduated from high school. 1 million had not graduated from high school. And I will finish up with this. The gap starts at home before they enter the school, when our parents do not read as often as they should to their kids before they go to bed at night. It continues when the students arrive in kindergarten and cannot distinguish between a letter and a number, do not know phonological awareness, and do not know the letters of the alphabet. It then continues when we coddle our boys and do not hold them accountable for learning the same way we do for our daughters. It continues when we fail to attend parent conferences, volunteer in schools, and force our students to study hard and to work hard. As an example, when I was principal of an elementary school, I had a father come in looking for his son. I asked him his son's grade, he didn't know. Asked him the teacher's name, he didn't know. And he was in the wrong building. That's the kind of example I'm talking about. We also have to get over this idea that when our students get older, we should be less involved in their academic life. Well, they're in high school, they don't need me anymore. That's a false belief. It's a false belief. We also have a failure to discuss school and learning at our table. If we're eating together, there are those times when we are eating together, we're failing to discuss teaching and learning at that time. We have a few cultural issues, and I'm going to pass the microphone. One is the invisible black man who does not show up for PTA meetings, who does not hold his son or daughter accountable for learning, who does not generally provide the type of supports that we need to provide. We also have a failure to make school a priority in our community. We're more concerned about athletics and how our kids look than about academics and how our kids learn. We have not spoken truth to power as advocates the way that white parents organize themselves throughout the state. We have not held ourselves accountable, and we have not made our sons understand that you don't wear do-rags and let your pants sag and use foul language in school. These are our responsibilities. Now, the school side, I think, is this. We got to increase the quality and rigor of the curriculum. A lot of our sons and daughters are leaving high school with A's. When they get to college, they realize they can't do the work because the grades have been inflated, because the expectations are low. So just because you're a little bit better than the next one and my expectations were low for them, the grades aren't clean. They're not real A's. We have to have a high quality teaching. We have to have high quality principals who can hold themselves accountable for learning with high expectations. We have to redesign schools because schools are currently built for adults. They're not built for kids. And we have to redesign them. And we have to use the data to achieve the way we need to achieve. So these are the things I think as we begin our discussion that we can control. Most of the things we need to do to fix are within our control. Only a few of them are within the school's control. My last point is this. I always say I would rather a kid have a string of very good teachers and mediocre parents than to have mediocre teachers their entire lives and very good parents. Because the learning happens at school, folks, when they leave the door. That's when it goes down. Thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gwen Samuel, and I'm the chairperson of the State of Black Connecticut Alliance. And we were created, a few parents got together, and we decided that there needs to be an intentional focus on the Black community. Because I'm hearing as a parent, I'm looking in this room, there's 40 people. So if each one of us would take responsibility and educate 2 other people, that means 120 people would have the knowledge that you're just acquiring tonight of working together and trying to address the achievement gap. But he talked about the parents, and he said that we're not involved. But you can't know what you don't know. If you're not encouraged, or your school is not a welcoming school, or if you're not respected when you come to the door, that could be a deterrent. And we don't give credit. We talk from the deficit model, what parents don't do. So if parents get their kids up every day, we can acknowledge that because they understand, part of it is the law, but they understand that they have to get their children to school. So that's not nothing to minimize. So what we should do as a community is build upon that. Because our children, we want to say, parents are not this and parents aren't doing that, and they're blaming. Yes, there is some personal responsibility, but I took an undoing racism training, and they talked about this inferiority that can be perpetuated. Because after so many years, if you're told that you can't be anyone or you're not going to be something when you grow up, and that can have an adverse effect on parents too. We shouldn't say that to children. But imagine if a mother who gets up every day tries to get their child to school, and then they get them into school and they talk to them like they are no one. We have more grandparents raising grandchildren. So the environments of the schools need to be welcoming to all ethnicities, to all economic levels. And so what I'm here today, as we talk about closing the achievement gap, is about personal responsibility. But I feel like this: if you can hold me responsible, teachers and educators, then I should be holding you accountable to the quality of education you give in my child. We have teachers in the classroom that don't even have knowledge of the subject area they're teaching. But then when a parent asks that question, all of a sudden you become radical. Because they don't expect you to become curious. But everyone in this room needs to be clear about the achievement gap. We have the worst achievement gap in the nation. So contrary to what the South done and the history of the South, we're worse than the South. There's only 50 states, ladies and gentlemen, and we are number 50. So until we start to understand what that means, if your child's not reading by the 3rd grade, one of the indicators for building jail cells are your child's reading levels. So if you don't think that's important, then you can continue to think reading's not important, and then we can just continue to fund the Department of Correction. But I let my school, I put them on notice. Don't put my child's name on top of that jail cell just that quick.